The only challenge with choosing negativity is that what your auntie used to say to you is still there. What your father used to say to you, you are not good enough, is still there. What your neighbor used to say to you, that my children are better than you, is still there. So when you're in the middle, you're about to think of your future, instead of thinking what you want, you remember what they used to say. And then that comes out of you, and then fear. And guess what? Emotion is not a respecter of anybody. Right? When you feel it, you ooze out energy. And that energy you ooze out will begin to prepare your future for you. The life that we live is not the life that has been given to us. It's the life that we negotiate. It's the life that we fight for. It's the life that we decide that this is going to be it. You see with two eyes, right? You see with the physical eyes, and you see with the eyes of the mind. And I'm sure you all know the most important eye. Which one is the most important eye? It's the eyes of the mind. Because if all you see is what you see, then you're blind. If all you are seeing is what you can physically see, you're blind. There's more to see in life. Where I am today is where I used to see. And I tell my staff every day, when I'm painting the picture of tomorrow to them, and I'm saying things like, we're gonna start this, we're gonna run this this company, we're gonna start another company, we're gonna build this product. When I say it to them, the next thing I quickly say to them is, don't even think that it will not work, because where we are now is what we used to see years ago. So today I don't have any doubts about seeing the future. I don't have any doubt about closing my eyes and painting the future. Now I even do it more consciously now. Why? Because years ago, when I was coming out of university and I didn't know what to do, I didn't know what to do with my life. I was struggling to finish accounting for 4 years. I knew that there's a bigger life that I want to live, but I didn't know exactly what it is. So I used to imagine a lot. I take time to imagine. I didn't know it was a thing until I studied neuro-linguistic programming. I didn't know that imagination was a thing. And so when I started my own company, after being rejected by every interviewer after NYC, all I needed to do without experience is what? Imagine. Visualize. There are days where my wife is going to work and I'm going to my church, because I used to be a drummer in church. And there's a room for the instrumentalists. So when you sit in that room on a Monday, on a Tuesday, nobody is disturbing you, right? Because people have gone to work, they didn't come to church. And my wife had gone to work, and then I would take my laptop that somebody helped me to buy, and I was paying instrumentally, and I would go to church. I will enter that room. Of course, there's AC, thank God it's church, and you can plug into the internet, and I will begin to browse, because I'm now a consultant, even though the company is just starting. And all I had was Train the Trainer from Industrial Training Fund. And then I will open Phillips Consulting website. I will open Akitola Williams website. I will open Best Consultants in the World. I will open their website. And as I open their website, I will begin to read. I will read about us. I will read services. I will read products. I will read contact us. I will read case studies. Do I have an organization? No. Yes. How many staff do I have? None. Who is the only staff? Myself. Do I have an office? No. What am I doing? I'm visualizing. And so I went for Train the Trainer, and I met a woman, and I decided that she would be my mentor, and that's how the journey started. But I can tell you of a truth, that everything I used to imagine, everything I used to see, everything I used to think, as we speak today, they've all happened. And guess what? I have started seeing more. So I know what my 50s would be. I am 43. I know exactly how I will live my 50s. And I can tell you, because every Saturday when I finish swimming and I get home, I'm having my bath, what I do in the bathroom is I imagine. So when he was telling you to do all of that, and you think is motivation, aspire to perspire, well, you can say that, but there's a truth inside of it. So what I do every Saturday, And I've not done it today, but I will do it. Instead, I do it on a Saturday or Sunday because I swim at least once every week. And when I'm having my slow bath, I close my eyes. So I'm talking about visualization now. You know, that's part of my topic. I close my eyes. And now, because I'm doing my doctorate, right? I know that when I become a doctor of business leadership, people will begin to call me all around the world to come and talk about business leadership. I already know. How did I know it will happen? Because post factory that I am today, I used to imagine it. Now, one of my company is the only West African company partner to the world's largest emotional intelligence network. Right? So in the entire West Africa, we have only one partner. That's us. But the first time I went for my emotional intelligence certification outside the country, I told the woman, I said, I want to be a partner. And she laughed. She said, Enahoro, you have to do a lot of work. And I said, don't worry, I'll do it. I did the work. It was the US that called me and said, are you ready to be a partner? And that has happened. But I used to see it, right? I used to see that we are training organizations. Today, we don't just write proposal. People propose to us to come and train for them. You know, there are two different levels. There's a level where you begin to write proposal, and that's good. We still do. But there's another level where we receive a call and say, can you come and do this training for us? We need an emotional intelligence certification, and we do it. But we used to dream. We used to see all of that. So I'm already seeing the future. I know what the future house is going to be like. When the children begin to travel abroad and my last born is already 18, finished university, I see all those things every Saturday. How much do you pay to see? How much do you pay to see? When he was telling you to visualize and you did not, it didn't cost you anything. You know the challenge with visualization? The challenge is that a lot of you see a negative future. So when you sit down, you are looking at your future and you are already worried about a future that has not happened. How can you be in the present thinking of tomorrow that has not happened and you are already worried about it and sad about what has not happened? Does it make sense to you? You are now scared. You are fear. You are having fear. You are having anxiety in the presence. They say, why are you having anxiety? You say, I'm scared for my future. A future that has not happened. A future that is a blank space. A future that is a blank check that you can sit down in a moment and you can decide to think right now that you are in UK and nobody will question you. You can think right now that you are one of the richest men in the world. Nobody will question you. You can think right now that you are running an organization that is better than the one you are working in and nobody will question you. You can think right now that you are going to get married to the best man on earth, even though it seems like time is against you. Nobody's going to question you. Nobody's going to beat you. Nobody's going to ask you for money. Nobody's going to tell you not to do it. When you sit down alone and you do it, you might not believe in it, but it has happened. I am a practical example. I used to imagine that I'm leading a lot of people. You know, because I think that I have the capacity to lead a lot of people. But when I imagine that I lead a lot of people, and whenever I send money to my mother will say, you will call 1 and 1,000 will answer. Thank you. I used to imagine that I have the capacity to lead plenty people. But when you run a consulting firm like mine, you don't need plenty people. So sometimes I wonder, how can it happen? You know, before COVID, I used to plan that, you know, we will have an office, there'll be different departments and a lot of people, you see. And then I started consulting for a company. And you know, one of my value as a person is whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. So I was consulting and somebody called me that, you know, GIG needs a consultant in a particular area. And then I went to consult for them. As usual, when I'm consulting, what do? I give it my best. I give it my best. And we're consulting. And then they asked for something else. Can you do this more? Of course, we can do more. And then we started to do it. And then there was a challenge. And then they needed a CEO. Now, don't forget what I used to see. That I lead a lot of people. They need a CEO. And so I started looking for a CEO for them. For every CV I brought, the chairman of GIG would say no. He's a very smart young man. I didn't know that all that he's seeing in me is what? The CEO. And then when the bomb dropped, I said, no, I run a company. But as I was saying that, I was hearing within me that, Shepe, you used to see that you lead a lot of people. And then we went back and forth and back and forth. And then I said, how can I run my company and run your company? They said they don't mind. So if you see my profile, you will see MD Post Factory / GIG Mobility. We're just finishing leadership retreat. I have like 3 other retreats. But today I'm leading close to 1,000 people. What I used to see that I do not have an idea how it will happen, it has happened. Don't be scared to visualize anything. You don't pay. You see, the one that baffles me the most is that you don't pay anything. So if you can, what's the difference between faith and fear? First of all, they are both about the unknown. I hope you have realized it. They are both about what? Faith and fear are both about the unknown. The only difference between the two is that one takes negativity and the other takes positivity. So when you think of the unknown from a negative perspective, you bring about what? Fear. Why? Because in emotional intelligence, you understand that fear only comes to you when you are uncertain. After today, the next time you are scared of something, right? Let me give you a certification information here. The next time you are scared of anything in your life, just remember that I said the only reason a human being feels fear, okay, there are 2 reasons. The major one is that the person is uncertain. Is what? The person is uncertain. That's the only reason why there is fear. When you step back and ask yourself, so what is uncertain? And you identify them. And then you say, what is the certainty? Immediately you do that, the fear will go. Even if it's a gun in your head, what's the uncertainty when there's a gun in your head? Will I be alive? Will I die? Once you say to yourself, I'll die and I die. If I die, I go to hell. What will happen to that fear? I've chosen the worst case scenario. So that brings fear. But when you think of the future from a positive perspective, what you have is faith. Now, who is choosing? Is it your father that is choosing for you? Is it your mother that is choosing for you? Your brother? Your auntie? Who is choosing? The only challenge with choosing negativity is that what your auntie used to say to you is still there. What your father used to say to you, you are not good enough, is still there. What your neighbor used to say to you, that my children are better than you, is still there. So when you're in the middle, you're about to think of your future, instead of thinking what you want, you remember what they used to say. And then that comes out of you, and then fear. And guess what? Emotion is not a respecter of anybody. Right? When you feel it, you ooze out energy. And that energy you ooze out will begin to prepare your future for you. Every step you take is going to follow that energy. But when you are here and you think positively about your future, every step you take is going to, some people say that all things will work together. Some people will say that the universe will conspire. That thing, it is true. There's a future you are going to. You don't know how. Your job is to see it. As simple as that is, it is work. Imagine that at my level, every Saturday, I intentionally sit under my shower when I'm having a bath. I sit down and I see. I'm not playing this. You see this thing I'm doing here, this teaching. I've been doing this in 2009. I've done it well. I've made a lot of money. I'm not here to impress anybody. The burden I carry is that you are off your shackles. So, in terms of visualization, I hope I've cleared the air. You can choose. You can what? You can choose to see what you want. And you see, the power behind visualization is that there is no limit to what you can see. How can somebody have such a gift and not be using it? There is no what? There's no limit. You can't be seeing now and imagining that you are the president of Nigeria and somebody says stop. Nothing will happen. You will just continue to see. How can you have such a tool? You see, when we talk about tool, you guys think we're talking about cars. You guys think we're talking about houses and phones. Those are not tools. If those are the tools that give people success, then life is unfair, because some people cannot buy some kind of cars and some people cannot buy some kind of phones. You see, life is equilibrium for everybody. The best things in life is free for everybody. Things like imagination. The poor can imagine. The rich can imagine. The middle can imagine. It's free. Resilience is free for everybody. Determination is free for everybody. What am I talking about? The best things in life. Life is so fair. Even though we say life is not fair, life is so fair that it has made it available for everybody. So even though I was growing up in a house where it is difficult for us to eat dinner and we can go to bed without eating, and my younger sisters will cry in the middle of the night. What is making them cry? They are hungry. If the last ones are crying, what will you do as a firstborn? You will not. You will just be able to work to manage things. If I've grown out of that to a situation where I call my mother from time to time and say, what do you want? The difference between the two is that what we used to grow is free for everybody. I have never in my life seen a worse future. It was when I became a life coach and started working with people one-on-one that I started to realize that some people think of the future in a negative way. I was amazed. Like, so people can be thinking of the future and be thinking negative. No, when I was 16, after I finished secondary school, I used to go to House on the Rock. They were at Muzon because my auntie stays on the island and my grandparents stay on the island. So I go to House on the Rock every Wednesday. No, when I was 16, 17, I started working as office assistant at 17, right? Immediately after secondary school. Every Wednesday and Sunday, I go to House on the Rock. And when Pastor Paul is preaching, I'll be looking at the man. Say, I can do this thing. 17 years old. Say, I can do this thing that this man is doing. I know I don't want to be a pastor, right? But I know that this thing that this man is doing, I can do it. So I will be seeing myself on stage like I'm talking like him. You know the way he used to do. I'll be seeing myself and I enjoy the beauty part of this. I enjoy the feeling. I'll just be on my bed and I'll be thinking that I'm him. And, I'll be enjoying the imaginations. What am I doing today? The things I used to see. So, I beg you, your environment does not help you to do this. If you look around you, all you want to be imagining is negativity. It's not about the phone. It's not about the house. It's not about the things that people are using to compare themselves on social media.